So what am I talking about today? Well, it's something that just hit me, but it was somebody else who gave me the information for me to realise that I already knew what I know, but now I know even more. And I talk a lot about oodles. Have a listen. You too can have oodles.
Warning. 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 You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, you know we're constantly learning, aren't we? Well, we are if we set our intention to learn. And I had a really good experience of feedback from somebody and then add my own little feedback aha moment in exactly the same thing without thinking about it. So what the hell are you talking about, Cluffy? Well, I want to tell you. You know, I've talked about I do a Q&A webinar for my younger son's personal development group, Mind Mastery. And it's a Q&A, and I do a webinar and people ask questions live, and they also send emails in. Well, somebody sent an email in with a question that arrived just before I went on air, because it's live, and therefore I didn't get to see it. So, following day, looking at my emails, there's the email. So I'll reply to that email and said, just have a listen and do this, or here's a little bit of advice, but if it's okay, I'll really do a little bit more detail work on this problem, and I'll do it on the next Q&A. And I got an email back the following day and said, hey, Paul, actually, when I listened to your Q&A, the processes you talked about and the things you talked about seemed to make so much sense to me with the issue I wrote about. But also, I had another listen because there was something there. I had another listen, and all of a sudden, boom, it was like that aha moment, that realization, that sudden belief change I had. There was something there that changed the belief that I had, that suddenly changed my whole issue. And now I can see things so much more clearer. I feel so good about things, and I'm ready to start moving on because they were stuck. I thought, wow, that's really good, because someone taking the time to listen to me talk twice. I thought that was an achievement in itself. But I guess when I think about it now, they had something that they really wanted to learn. They had that issue, and they talk about having issues and doing whatever it takes, having the will to do whatever it takes. And they had that in bundles, in abundance, bundles and abundance, same thing-ish. Anyway, it got me thinking, well, that's something I can talk about sometime. But there you go, and it goes to the back of my head, and I made a little mental note and made a little note in my Evernote podcast notes. And there I am, sitting at my little laptop, and I'm watching somebody else's webinar. And I'm taking notes as I go through, because I wanted to learn about this. I had this intention in my mind. I need to learn about what this guy is talking about. So I'm listening and making notes and stopping and making notes and press play again. And it's about an hour and 40-minute webinar, so it goes on. It's a long time to sit and do that, so I was breaking it up a little bit in times, clearing my head, coming back. And I thought, you know what? I have got oodles, an abundance of notes. And you've always got to go for oodles. If you haven't got oodles, you haven't got enough. Okay. That's just my belief. So there you go. I think I've got it. I've really got it. But there's one little thing I just need to just refresh on, because looking at my notes, I wasn't quite clear. So a couple of days goes past, and I think, well, I've got a little bit of time now, early morning. I'm just going to start listening. I'm going to get my old notes out, different coloured pen, because I like coloured pens, as you know, and start that webinar again. Fast forward a little bit, because the introduction, okay, I know what that's all about. And then as I'm listening and following my notes, I'm hearing different things. Well, hearing the same things, but I didn't hear them the first time, because it was if, we talk about this thing as we learn. Because I didn't know enough, I started to learn one layer, one level of the learnings within that webinar. And when I had them inside, now I was capable of learning something even deeper from that webinar. And plus, again, I had that intention. I want to learn. I want to make sure that I've got it right. And then I got more oodles of notes. In fact, I doubled my oodles quota. And I had a stack of notes. And now I was a little bit unconfident about some of the stuff that this guy is talking about. But now with the Ooodles and Ooodles, looking down at my notes, I'm going, I think I can do this. I could do what this guy's talking about. I got a confidence from it. I got a belief in myself that I think I've got enough. And guess what? I know I can always go back to that webinar and probably find the one little thing if I need it. And that got me to think. I was listening to somebody and they said, what books do you read? And they were saying, well, I read this one particular book at least 3 times a year. And initially I would think, well, same book 3 times a year? Sure, that's a bit boring. You've got an idea what's going to happen. But now I know what's happening. The more you look back at something, you're seeing it through different filters. Remember we talked about filters, that communication comes in through all our senses. We filter it out through our attitudes, our beliefs, our values, and our experiences. Well, we've already experienced it once, and our beliefs may have changed, and we now know it's important. So therefore, when we start reading again, we start to read that particular book. We don't focus on the things we already know, but we suddenly allow our focus to find the things that we don't know. And I can understand this guy now reading the same book 3 times a year, because every year he learns something deeper within that content. Now, I don't know about you, but how many books have you read that you found really exciting, or you found they did have a wealth, or they had oodles of information for you? Well, I'm thinking now we've got to go back to those. We've got to revisit them. We can look at our notes, because that helps you get back into the state and remember the things that you actually learned and the stuff that you know. And then we set our intention. Maybe there's a particular thing we want to know about. So we can flick through that, but we don't have to read it necessarily word for word for word for word, because we know our unconscious mind will pick out the chapter, the paragraph, the word, the sentence that suddenly gives us that information, that richness of information. And I begin to get it now, how people do get to understand things so deeply. Because when people talk to me about the things they're really interested in, I go, wow, you know so much. You really do. You must have spent so much time doing it. But they have, but also they've allowed that information to go in and find more and more. And it's like the information's there. Even if you didn't look anywhere else other than your own personal library, you've probably got 10 times more than you ever thought there was in there, if only you revisit them. How many times have you picked up an old book that you've read and just simply opened up a page in that book and found, this is exactly what I was looking for, what I need right now. And all these things seem to come together now. It's like the old saying, the right teacher comes along at the right time for you. When you've got that level, or you've attained that level of understanding, yet you're still curious to learn more. You've got the will to do whatever it takes. And you then just take it in. So, we can use the wonderful skill that we all have, which is curiosity now, to wonder what we could learn even more deeply. The things that would allow us to just achieve what we want to achieve, to excel more than what we want to achieve. Because the old saying we say here and in our NLP trainings is, whatever you think you are, you're more than that. Because you've got oodles of potentiality. You just don't know. You just don't know how much you've got. It's that old thing we talked about a little while ago, is that you just don't know enough to know what's impossible. So just go to the edge of impossibilities and know that you'll never know enough. But what you will know is oodles of interesting things that will allow you to expand your reality. Because remember, what we take in, go through those 5 senses, and because of our experiences, our learnings, our beliefs, we create that reality that we notice outside. Well, if you know so many wonderful things, you now have the experiences to create even richer lives for yourself. And when you create those rich lives for yourselves, you can't help but sharing it. You see, you can't help but sharing that richness, even if you don't share it verbally, because you share it non-verbally with the way you hold your body, your physiology, the way you sound, the way you walk, the way you just are in the world. People get to see it and they'll get it because you are now totally congruent, you're aligned, and you're searching. And because you're searching and achieving, and it's creating that wonderful wealth and richness of oodles inside you, then other people will just get it. And, it's like, that's how your reality, your outside just evolves with you. Your environment. That's the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of it and I made the other bit up. But your environment will evolve with you. And so will the behaviors you do, and so will your skills and capabilities. Because that's what's important. That's what you believe in, because you believe in you, your identity. And that's when you connect to everything. That's what it is. So I just want to encourage you, not only in your dreams, but encourage you to look further, but not necessarily further, if that makes sense. Look inside you, and also look inside the information you've already got, the things you've looked at. Maybe there's a documentary, maybe there's a book, that the knowledge you have now will enable you to see even more. And then that will give you, with curiosity, intuition, ideas to take it even further. And maybe as you then share that with people, and they're on that particular level now to take in that richness, we're all creating that world that we all want to live in. But it's that sharing thing. It's that, doing things, selfless service. That's another, I couldn't get it. And I nearly made something else up. But that's selfless service. Just doing things for others. That, you're not looking for repayment. You're not interested in that instant gratification of having something back. But it's that reciprocal world that we live in. And someone's going to say reciprocity. I'm sure that's the word people say now. Because it comes back, but it doesn't necessarily come back from that person in front of you. It comes back from your environment that you're creating. That serendipity, that luck, that coincidence that you create. How we got there, I don't know. But it's, really just saying you've got everything you need, and you will find everything you need. And go and have a look back at what you already know. Because the more you look back, the more you will see. And the more that you see, you'll look forward and find even more. I think that sort of makes sense. Anyway, I just wanted to encourage you to keep seeking. And don't worry about that you already know it, because you will find and know even more about that particular thing that you're looking for. Just have that curiosity to do whatever it takes. And you'll find it. You will find it. Love to know what you think about this, because it was like many aha moments for me of simplicity. Things I already knew, but I didn't know. It was like re-remembering stuff inside me that just suddenly comes out into my brain and go, hey Cluffy, put these together. Oh, duh. Yeah, they come together and they make so much sense. And really just fills in that thing that we say, in simplicity, there's genius. Deconstructing the complicated and making life simple again. There you go. Okay, so in that simplistic way of just creating a wonderful reality for you and me and everyone else on this little old planet, have more fun than you can stand doing it, and enjoy every heartbeat. And I'm going to speak to you next time with something just as random. Okay, enjoy. Hey, just before you go, I've just got 2 or 3 little bits of information I'd like to share with you. The first one is, unfortunately, the introductory prices at paulcloughonline.com, the programs such as Free Your Life from Anxiety, Supreme Inner Confidence, the hypnosis tracks there, the paid ones, well, they're all going up in price because this introductory period is coming to an end. But here's the big but. If you join the community by merely just joining paulcloughonline.com/podcast, as usual, you'll get free access to all the hypnosis tracks that are attached to this podcast. You'll also get, now and again, discounts and offers on those programs, only if you want them, and I'll also extend that guarantee completely. And also, you get surprise hypnosis tracks and coaching tracks that won't be available on this podcast, because I want to be able to share even more to the people who are really doing this work and really getting into it. So if you'd like that, go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Get your free access to all those hypnosis tracks and more. Now, the other thing is, did you enjoy this episode of the Personal Development Unplugged podcast? Because if you did, I know time is finite. We've only got so much time in this world and how we use it. But if you did have time to share, wouldn't it be nice if you share this episode or one of your favorite episodes to some friends or unfriends, people who you feel might need it? Because you'll be doing them one of the greatest services, is showing them a way to change themselves. And in that way you wouldn't, well, one thing you'll never know though, is how far the ripples of those change will go. But I know they'll go further than you can imagine, because those changes will make changes in other people as well. And in that way we create a community, but also create a community for change. And the big picture is, we will change this little earth we live on in a good way. That would be brilliant, I think. And also, lastly, but not leastly, if you'd like to receive these podcasts on whatever you listen to them on, just subscribe. So you can subscribe to iTunes. If you wish, and it'd be really kind if you did, leave a little 5-star review, or any star review, obviously. But leave a review if you could, that'd be nice. But also there's another great app that I found. I mentioned it before. It's called Castbox. 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 And again, it has a subscription button. It gives you a place where you can leave a review. But also, what I did find out is, when you subscribe, you get a facility to search through all the episodes of Personal Development Unplugged. So if you want something for, say, confidence or grief or sadness, or you put that word in and search through and see what comes up. There's so many there. Might be able to make you find the ones that you want that much more easier. Another thing is, if you can't find them, let me know by email, paul@paulclough.co.uk, and I'll guide you to the right place. Also, if there's anything you'd like me to discuss, go deeper with, an issue you have, that obviously you'll remain anonymous. Don't worry about that, because we can dive deep into it. We can come up with some processes. We'll develop a process if need be. But also, it's like when you're in one of those seminars, someone asks a question and you go, oh, thank God. They asked a question I've been wanting to ask, but I didn't feel brave enough. Well, now you can ask that question with complete safety. Send me the email and we'll discuss it, dive deep, find answers for you and all the other people who have similar issues, and we can develop it like that. And let's develop this community. So thank you for this bit of time for listening here. I'm going to get off and get ready for the next one. Okay? So see you soon. Well, enjoy. Well, I mean it so much. Enjoy every heartbeat and have more fun than you can stand. Until next time, it's Paul. Bye-bye.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.